called Best New Chefs. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, I love that list.
You
I
do?
follow it religiously.
Best New Chefs, if you look at the franchise across 30 years and 300 plus chefs, you're talking about the best of the best in American cuisine. You're talking about the pioneers, you're talking about the tastemakers.
There have been some talent that's passed through there through the years, like Thomas Keller, Danielle Boulou.
It's certainly one of the best reward you can get as a young chef.
It's such an honor. It really is just such an honor.
You know, it's 30 years of these chefs who have like really kind of shaped American cooking.
Chefs know what the Best New Chef award is. Every chef wants to win it.
Every time that I would look on the cover every year and see the Best New Chef, it was always guys that I was idolizing.
The men and women who are having the most impact, I think, in the food world.
It definitely encompasses a lot of bold names and people that you know, but also people who someone found, someone realized they were doing something.
They took it really seriously and they looked everywhere. And I think it's changed the landscape of food and it's changed a lot of people's lives in a great way.
If you think about in the way that trends trickle down from chefs to the American public, the way that particular kinds of ingredients start to factor into the supermarket, these Best New Chefs over the past 30 years have changed the way that we eat.
So I just wanted to let you know that you're actually going to be part of the 2018 class of Food and Wine Best New Chefs.
What? Get out of here, no way. Oh my God, absolutely wild.
Food and Wine is turning 40 this year. Launched out of Playboy magazine in 1978. Hugh Hefner recognized what the Food and Wine founders knew, and that was the rise of this new consumer segment called the Epicurean. And the Epicurean lived a life, with food and drink at the center of it. So you fast forward 10 years from 1978 to 1988 and the launch of Best New Chefs, so you start to see the rise of the celebrity chef. These were folks that were making an imprint on their neighborhoods, they were making an imprint on their cities, and they were folks that were pushing our cuisine forward.
This idea that like chefs and like where we're eating and food as a signifier of culture was really coalescing. I think that is really where Best New Chefs began.
Moving into the 90s and the aughts, Dana Cowan and Kate Crater became the stewards of this franchise.
Both of those women have been amazing mentors to me. There are a few people in this country, if not the world, who know food like they do, and they really made it what it is today.
When I got to Food and Wine in 1994, this award, Best New Chef, existed. However, what has happened in the intervening years is astonishing. Every single chance we at Food and Wine have had, we've championed the best new chefs because we feel like these are the most interesting people.
In Kate Crater, Kate is the one who recognized people like David Chang as he was just getting started, as he was making very simple and delicious ramen before his restaurant was full. That's really the research and the scouting and the gut instincts to really tap into what the zeitgeist is going to be. And that's really what it means to scout for Best New Chefs.
Best New Chef process starts every year with a call for nominations.
The Food and Wine Best New Chef nomination process is really a bear. It is a 9-month process that starts with collecting nominations.
We ask people that we trust for recommendations, who's tripping their radar, who's really interesting in their cities right now, who's starting to make waves.
When we nominate someone as Best New Chef, it's an honor to be able to vote. What we look for are just the same standards that Food and Wine has put forth. The food has to be delicious, a new vision on something that might be old or something that might be completely new.
It's about breaking the rules a little bit. I think it's about having your own identity.
You really have to push the boundaries. I have never been concerned about, like my food costs or, what people might think of it. I was just concerned that, I was doing something new and something different and trying things that perhaps might not work.
When we opened AOC in 2002, I had a vegetable section on the menu, and we had farro and black rice with currants and pine nuts. We had Brussels sprouts with burrata, radicchio, and Asian balsamic. We had these dishes that I was like, I love vegetables. I hope someone out there will order these vegetables. And it's crazy now to see that's the norm. It's a thing now.
You have to have talent, you have to have personality, you have to distinguish yourself within your style. There's not a stereotype for being a best new chef. Of course, in my generation, it was maybe a little more stereotype, white jacket, white aprons. Now, of course, chefs can have t-shirt, tattoo, aprons, and pull out amazing food. So it's not about the uniform as much as the performance.
From there, we, create a sort of master list, which can be, hundreds and hundreds of names. And then from there, there's a vetting process. We're looking at chefs who have 5 years or less experience as executive chef. And then, we take a look at what we've compiled and we start to build itineraries and look at menus. And from there, we start to create our travel.
30 years of Best New Chef, 300 plus chefs. This year, we flew 37,000 miles to winnow it down to 11 chefs for this next class.
The travel is extremely fun. It is also extremely intense.
Multiple dinners a night, what Jordana Rothman calls 2 dinners is a bang bang, a triple dinner is a bang bang bang.
So much food. I do like to have a guest with me because it's nice to see their reaction and kind of gauge that a little bit too. I think sometimes as food writers, you get a little bit stuck in your own head and then their eyes are bigger than their stomachs and they get ahead of themselves and then they just eat everything and you're like, slow down, homie, because we have a lot of work to do, and they just can't do it because they're not professionally trained. And I steal a ton of menus. I am a professional menu thief. I will take it. I think a lot of times chefs are like, well, you couldn't have possibly taken ours. It's drilled into a bespoke iron sheet. And I'll be like, I took it.
At Food & Wine, when we were looking for a best new chef, we first looked for innovation. What was on the plate when we ate it and we're like, I've never seen that before, or God, that's interesting.
And even though it may have been comfort food or it may have been something that was more avant-garde, they weren't following everyone, they were doing something slightly different.
But the second thought had to be, that is delicious.
Absolutely, what is on the plate is fundamentally important. It must be delicious, and you have to want to eat all of it and then order it again and go back, and it has to be food that you truly can't get enough of. But I think that as we've grown as a culture, it's not enough to just be looking down at the plate. In this moment in particular, it's really important for us to actually look up and look around and consider the context in which that food is presented. And not only the context, but also who's doing the presenting.
The food itself has to connect back to a person. That's sort of what they're looking for, is that somebody is putting themselves on the plate and showing who they are, of course, in a delicious way, in a beautiful way.
I'll tell you what a best new chef puts on a plate. It's their heart and soul. If you're tasting that, then you're probably having that kind of experience.
I think Food & Wine has done a really good job of honoring all different types of cuisine. Yes, you have Danielle and you have David Bouley, and then more recently you have Sarah and Sarah winning. I mean, their food is very different. I don't know if they would have won 20 years ago.
The thing to me that's the most exciting is that ethnicity and culture and background and family traditions sort of used to be things that you might kind of play down or, put in the background, and now this is stuff that we really want to celebrate.
I really believe that we're not just honoring the chefs that we're choosing for 1 year or another, we're also honoring chefs that we haven't even met yet, chefs that aren't even chefs yet, because, the idea of someone looking at the magazine and seeing that there are people that look like them, at the top of the industry is something that's really compelling, because we want to encourage more and more people to enter this field.
When Jordana and the team bring us their selections for Best New Chefs, my mind immediately turns to the storytelling. Who are these folks? What is their individual story? How will they impact American cuisine? What ingredients will they use that eventually we'll see in the American supermarket? So it's not just about what they've done to get to this point. It's not just about this moment. It's about what will these folks mean to dining out and dining in America in the years to come.
Hey, Chef, this is Jordana Rothman from Food and Wine. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? Oh my God.
And from there, it's time to tell the chefs. And telling the chefs is the best. Like, it is like the best thing.
I remember actually standing in the kitchen and Dana Cowan calling, and I went over and I picked the phone up and she told me that I had won this award, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Now, I almost thought it was a joke. Vinny actually got the call from Dana Cowan at the time, and then he was like, hey, you're never gonna guess, but we just won Best New Chef. And I was like, are you fucking for real?
I felt so excited. That was the first big recognition, the first big award I was getting.
I was trying to keep it cool, but I kind of freaked out. And I looked to my fiance, who I was supposed to marry 2 days before the award ceremony. And I said, all right, well, I guess this is really happening, so we're gonna have to postpone the honeymoon.
She said, you're a Best New Chef. And I was like, are you joking? Like, I didn't quite understand. In fact, I thought she was kind of messing with me a little bit. And when I realized that she was being serious, my eyes sort of filled up with tears, and I was in disbelief.
It doesn't matter like what industry you're in, like if you're in food or anything, it's like getting on the phone with these people. If they know anything about this franchise, they know about its history, it's like the power of telling them that they've invested in themselves in the right way and like they've made the right calls in their life. It's like so inspiring. I just like wanted to let you know that you are going to be one of Food and Wine's Best New Chefs of 2018.
God, shut up. Thank you so much. This is a dream.
Winning the Best New Chef felt like the beginning of so many things for us.
I think it put me on this other level, or just set me on a certain track that I had not anticipated. People calling, asking me if I wanted to open restaurants and did I want to be on a TV show.
It gave me the street cred. It gave me the confidence. People, I believe, started to look at this restaurant a little bit differently, that we had achieved something truly fantastic.
Of course, I was very young and naive, but I was ambitious and I had a goal, which was to make sure that I would never disappoint by being voted Best New Chef.
The Food and Wine Best New Chefs, there are now over 300 of them. And when I think about that, I think about how 300 people that we've anointed are shaping food today. And I think about the promise of tomorrow and this award going on and the future generations of chefs that we can influence and inspire.
What I'm focused on, it's Best New Chefs as future leaders in the industry. If you think of what's happening in the restaurant industry with all the news coming out about sexual harassment and poorly run organizations, really this year is about a turn. So for this 30th class, we're launching a mentorship program for the first time. We're going to pair each of the chefs with a former Best New Chef as their mentor. They can call them up on the cell phone anytime. We want to arm these chefs with as many tools as possible to build stronger cultures within their own kitchens.
We're so lucky to be able to feed people. We're so lucky to be able to do what we do. And at the end of the day, it's about integrity in each and every bite. To be able to put ourselves and our vision and our integrity into that one bite and hopefully change somebody's mind or their perspective or give them a thought or an idea or an emotion from our food that they've never felt before or never thought of before, you know, that's really exciting.